there, and welcome to our latest episode of What's on the Horizon. I'm Lori Sharonbrock here with Chris Schucker of Digital Horizons. My question today is, what does a typical service call look like once you've installed something? I mean, the exciting part is when it gets in, but then what happens after that?
Most of the time when we do a service call, it involves some sort of piece of electronics that has locked up. So not unlike your smartphone that maybe you're watching this video from, invariably over a given amount of time, it needs to be rebooted. And a lot of the technology that we install is similar to that in that sense that if there is a problem, the fix is to reboot it. Fortunately, it's not something that happens very often. But truthfully, the service calls to do the equipment reboot and whatnot has reduced significantly in the last probably 5 to 8 years. And not because of anything that the manufacturers are doing either to make their equipment robust or less complicated and thus less to fail. It's been the advent and our adoption and installation and configuration of something called a smart surge protector. So to most of our systems, small or large, we install these smart surge protectors, and essentially what they are is they're an internet-connected surge protector. And the reason they're smart is they exist and connect to your home's network, and they're programmed to be always trying to connect to certain websites that never go down, right? So we're constantly checking apple.com or google.com or some other various technical things that we do. And when those multiple different sites can't be accessed by the Smart Surge Protector, it is programmed to assume that the pathway out to those websites is interrupted somehow. The first things that are the access out, right, for that Smart Surge Protector are going to be the network equipment in the home. So your router, a network switch, maybe the modem, something like that. And so it will automatically reboot those devices through a method called self-healing. So it does that as a baseline by us setting it up and configuring it, but then we connect all of the other devices in the home, or at least close to it, to that Smart Surge Protector. So your cable box, your Apple TV, your Roku, whatever it might be, we plug into that Smart Surge Protector. And when we're done, we have the ability to remotely troubleshoot problems, which again, as mentioned, most of the time it's just an equipment reboot. And so if Mr. or Mrs. Customer calls and says, hey, my cable box isn't working, or that's what we ultimately figure out what it is, I can, on my phone, no matter where I am, or from our office here on our service team, can just reboot that cable box at a press of a button. But what's even cooler is all of our systems and our customers, they get access to that same functionality. So if they have a problem on Saturday at 4 p.m. and the golf game is on, they have the ability to reboot those things themselves without having to dive into a cabinet full of equipment or climb into the equipment rack and figure out which outlet it is that it's plugged into. So the service calls that we had to do to reboot stuff are almost completely solved now because we have the ability to remotely troubleshoot and reboot these devices from anywhere at any time.
It's sort of saves you the embarrassment. I know when I have like an IT problem on my computer, like I now just know reboot it because I don't want to call the guy who
Right,
says,
right.
"Did you reboot it?"
It's usually
It,
suggestion 1 through 5. Yeah.
yes, and like you said, it's usually like you said, something just gets stuck and you have to restart it.
Yeah.
But it sounds kind of like a smart surge protector is almost like an insurance policy for your electronics
Yeah.
in keeping things safe and running smoothly without you ever having to see it.
We have an unofficial policy that at a certain point of complexity in our systems, or when we install systems past a certain distance from our office,
Oh, yeah.
that we won't install a system without the core components being on a smart surge protector. Because we know from years and decades of doing this that that system will have a time where something needs to get rebooted, and it's going to be a pain point that will look bad for us, and in ways where it has no bearing. Like, we have no impact on that happening. We could choose any number of manufacturers, and it doesn't matter. Something will need to get rebooted at some point. And so we insist or require them to be installed in certain instances, because we know that's going to solve a major problem down the road. And one, it's going to get their system operating to full capacity again quicker, and it will pay for itself many times over by being put in initially. And it's honestly the best thing that's happened to businesses like ours or anybody in the IT world, because it's what fixes 90% of problems is a reboot.
That's really good to know. Yeah, I just think about like your earlier example. You're watching the golf game at 4 o'clock on Saturday, and everything goes down. And if you don't have that, like that's your weekend
Right.
waiting for you guys to
Right.
be back in the office
Unless
on
you have a spare
Monday.
TV or something, but most of the time people want to watch it on their main
They
system.
do,
Yeah.
they do. And if it's the slightest bit inconvenient, like
Right.
let's be real, we're all creatures of convenience these days. Like that's just
Yeah.
who we are. And if it's the tiniest bit inconvenient, you'll make another plan.
Right.
You'll go to the
Yep.
bar and watch it. You'll do something else.
Yeah.
So it's nice to know, like when you guys install a system, like if something happens, it's going to be because it's catastrophic, not because it's a simple fix.
Yep.
Well, if you guys have any questions about that, or if your system can do any self-healing, or you wish it would, give them a call and talk to them about your system and what they can do to make sure it runs much smoother. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next episode.